Ladies and gentlemen, attorneys for Abrego Garcia rightfully and lawfully decry that the Trump administration is not complying with U.S. Federal District Judge Paula Xinis' court order to facilitate his return, as well as the Supreme Court's and the the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals also ruling and agreeing that Abrego Garcia has to be returned in a 9-0 ruling to the United States because he was unlawfully, illegally kidnapped and sent to El Salvador despite a 2019 court order of protection that barred the United States, the government, the Trump administration, the Trump regime from sending him to El Salvador in fear of persecution from local gang members. Let's take a look at this new reporting by ABC. The article, ladies and gentlemen, is titled Abrego Garcia's Attorneys Decry Administration Failure to Comply with Court Order. And ladies and gentlemen, the article reads, attorneys for the wrongly deported Kilmar Abrego Garcia are requesting a conference Tuesday to address what they say the Trump administration's failure is the Trump administration's failure to comply with a court order granting expedited discovery in the case. U.S. District Judge Paula Xinis last week slammed Justice Department attorneys over their inaction over Abrego Garcia's wrongful detention and ordered government officials to testify under oath through expedited discovery. In a letter to the judge Monday night from both the government and Abrego Garcia's attorneys, lawyers for Abrego Garcia said that the Trump administration has responded to their discovery requests by producing, quote, nothing of substance, unquote, and providing interrogatory responses that are, quote, non-responsive, unquote. Abrego Garcia's attorneys said the administration has claimed state secrets privilege and governmental privilege, quote, without any foundation for doing so, unquote. The attorneys also said they invited government officials to meet and confer several times, but the officials declined to meet until Monday evening, quote, on the eve of the depositions, unquote. Department of Homeland Security Acting General Counsel Joseph Mazzara was scheduled to be deposed Tuesday morning, according to the letter. The government, in the same letter, said they have, quote, put forward a good faith effort to provide appropriate responses to both plaintiff's interrogatories and request for production, unquote. Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran native who has been living with his wife and children in Maryland, was deported Ladies and gentlemen, let me do some editorial work to deported and remove that word and add kidnapped, because he wasn't given any due process to challenge his wrongful removal and kidnappation. Plus, it was in violation of a 2019 federal immigration judge's court order. Was kidnapped in March to El Salvador's Secot Mega Prison, despite a 2019 court order barring his deportation to that country due to fear of persecution, after the Trump administration claimed he was a member of the criminal gang MS-13. The Trump administration, while acknowledging that Abrego Garcia was kidnapped to El Salvador in error, has said that his alleged MS-13 affiliation makes him ineligible to return to the United States. His wife and attorney have denied that he is an MS-13 member. Judge Xinis, early this month, ruled that the Trump administration must facilitate Abrego Garcia's return, and the United States Supreme Court unanimously affirmed that ruling, quote, with due regard for the deference owed to the executive branch in the conduct of foreign affairs, unquote. The government, in Monday's letter to the judge, said that any requirement for a more detailed response on the legal basis for Abrego Garcia's confinement, quote, would be wholly inappropriate and an invasion of diplomatic discussions, unquote. Quote, upon Abrego Garcia's repatriation to El Salvador, his detention was no longer a matter of the United States' confinement, but a matter belonging to the government of El Salvador, which has been explained to the plaintiffs repeatedly, unquote, the government said. Quote, their insistence, ladies and gentlemen, on obtaining any information on diplomatic discussions is a facially unwarranted and appropriate intrusion into the diplomatic process, a matter which the Supreme Court specifically reserved to the government's province. In a separate filing, attorneys for Abrego Garcia included as an exhibit the government's objections to the plaintiff's first set of expedited interrogatories, in which the government says that, quote, disclosing the details of any diplomatic discussions regarding Mr. Garcia Mr. Abrego Garcia at this time could negatively impact any outcome, unquote. In the exhibit, the government acknowledges the $6 million that has been made available to the government of El Salvador to be used for its, quote, law enforcement needs, unquote, including for the detention of the Venezuelan migrants that were sent to El Salvador's Sicat mega prison. Quote, the United States has not provided any specific assistance with the respect to the detention of Abrego Garcia or any other Salvadorian national, unquote, the government said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's legal breaking reporting. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting, please make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Firstly. Now, secondly, if you want to make sure that you never miss a brand new legal breaking reporting, please hit the bell icon that is right next to the subscribe button down below on the right hand side, and hit the all notifications options. You guys can also stay up to date by following me on my social medias that I will have linked down below. I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, as well as TikTok. Thirdly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me reach and achieve the overall channel goal of 160 plus subscribers. The reason why I'm saying 160 plus subscribers is because right after we reach and achieve the goal of 160 subscribers, we have more subscribers to reach and achieve right after we reach and achieve the goal of 160 subscribers. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, please stay safe, please stay positive, and know that justice will prevail despite Donald Trump and his illegal regime and administration's unlawful, unconstitutional defiance and behaviors and executive orders. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I will have you guys know that when U.S. Maryland Senator, Democrat Chris Van Hollen met with Abrego Garcia on the 17th, Abrego Garcia told him that they being the Salvadoran government, had moved him from the notorious mega prison Sicat to a jail cell with some furniture, which means a little bit better conditions than at Sicat. There will be a video coming out and going up, I think, tomorrow, regarding that update. So stay tuned for that update.